This is Andy Purwell for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm joined by the head of Sky Sports Boxing, Adam Smith. Adam, how you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Very well indeed. Very excited about coming back to Manchester early November. It's a wonderful fight city. There's been so much history here, especially in that arena. The likes of Mike Tyson have fought there. Obviously, Ricky Hatton's fortress, and great fighters have come through. We've had some wonderful nights. The Froch Groves won first fight. Prince Nassim Hamad exhibiting his skills over the years. I mean, it's been a great part of our history on Sky Sports Boxing over the last sort of 25, 30 years, Manchester. And it's another cracking card, and I'm absolutely thrilled that Katie Taylor is fighting back on UK Irish time zone, at the right time of night really for everybody, 10 o'clock at night. Don't have to stay up and watch her through the night. As amazing as she is and as entertaining and terrific as she is, I hope that she'll get a fantastic amount of people tuning in and watching what is another huge step in her stellar career.
Let's work our way through the card, starting off with that headline fight, Katie Taylor versus Linardatou. I hope I said her name right. Adam,
I think you've done very well, haven't you? Very well. I mean, she's a very good fighter in her own right. World champion, strong, tough, big puncher, and she's obviously at the higher weight. So this is another challenge for Katie. I sat down with Brian and Eddie, and there are so many options for Katie Taylor ahead. She's the unified lightweight champion. Obviously, everybody wants to see the rematch with Persone. So close it was. Some people thinking it went to Persone, some thinking Katie won it. So we want to see that at some point down the line. We all want to see the big fight with Amanda Serrano. I think that's obviously a fight that should happen in New York. But look, we really wanted to bring her back here on this side of the world. This seemed to be the right time to do it in November. It's another challenge, as in fighting for another to become a two-weight champion against a very tough opponent. So it all sort of worked, and I'm delighted that Katie's back. She'll be training obviously long and hard out in Connecticut, as she has been over the summer. I caught up with her when we were on holiday over there, and it's a long camp, and she just is so dedicated. She's so passionate about trying to become the best female fighter to ever lace them up, and she's not far off that. So everything's going great guns, and obviously with the ascent of women's boxing with the likes of Clarissa Shields, and back here, I mean, Terry Harper and Savannah Marshall, Nicola Adams, and Chantel Cameron and Shannon Courtney, so many now plying their trade. It's fantastic that women's boxing is fully on the map, and there's some great fights to be made out there, and this is one of them.
You just touched on that Delphine Pursued rematch earlier in your answer. How likely do you think it is that we will see that rematch? A lot of fans, as you mentioned, kind of leaning towards Delphine, feeling that she won their first fight. When do you think we may see that fight, if at all, in a rematch?
Yeah, I think the feeling at ringside was that she probably nicked it, but it was one of those. It was sad to see her go off in tears that night. Katie won the belts, got the decision, and it was what it was a brilliant fight. It was a brilliant advertisement for female boxing. I think the last round was one of the best rounds of boxing I've seen in a long time in any fight. So the Garden were on their feet. I mean, Katie Taylor just brings energy and thrills when she fights, and just such a wonderful girl outside of the ring as well. A great ambassador. She's a role model. She's an inspiration to kids everywhere, my kids included. They look up to her, and she's achieving her goal, her lifelong goals of becoming a legend in this sport already, and she's got a long way to go. So yeah, I mean, going back to the Persone question, I want to see the fight again. I sometimes think with the AJ Ruiz fight, when you get such a dramatic upset, where you want to see that, there's a lot of clamour to have that straight away, and in many ways, you have to. The heavyweight division, so much money involved, so many, ways of sort of, jumping around and governing bodies, and you sort of almost want to get that rematch done as quickly as possible. Women's boxing, we can take our time a little bit more, and I think also I quite like to get Delphine over, maybe fighting on one of our shows here, keep her name in the spotlight, and maybe that's a big fight for maybe next summer. I mean, in an ideal world, if Katie wins on November the 2nd, she goes into a big Serrano fight in New York, and then maybe come back here this side of the pond, and she can fight Delphi Besson in a huge fight, and maybe even lead Sky Sports box office. That will be a dream for her. I think it will be a major statement from us. And if Joshua Buatsi is maybe fighting for a big world title on the card as well, they can almost sort of double header. And Derek Chisora wants to be main event on October the 26th. It doesn't really matter, does it? Ultimately, who's main event here? In my eyes, it's Katie Taylor at 10 o'clock at night. But how can you forget Anthony Crolla for all the memories he's given us in Manchester? Maybe he should be the last attraction on the night with all the fans there and him bowing out, and maybe he deserves that as well. So listen, it's just a great card. Add Joshua Buatsi, who in my opinion is the best young prospect. I don't even think he is a prospect anymore. I think everybody knows about him. I think he's the best young hope we've got, maybe to go on and become that major star. There's obviously Daniel Dubois as well. Anthony Yard did so well recently against Kovalev, but for us, for Matchroom Sky, Joshua Buatsi is a major project for us, and I'm delighted that the nice ones out of the ring, the Crollas, the Katies, the Buatsis, and they're so exciting in it. They can all come together and give us a fantastic night on November the 2nd.
On Anthony Crolla, his last dance, as everybody keeps calling it, what level of opponent do you see him facing on November 2nd? Well,
as you heard him at the press conference, he wants to give, as he always has done, the fans value for money. He's so entertaining, Anthony, and I think he's taking his opportunities. You remember all the years ago when he lost that British title, and you thought, how far can he go? And he has had the ups and downs, and obviously the trouble outside the ring, the have-a-go hero with the burglary, and then being robbed when he drew with Perez. And I mean, I think he's seen so much in boxing. He hasn't had the chance to share a ring with two of the greats, one Jorge Linares and maybe the best fighter of this generation in Vasily Lomachenko. And I think he probably wanted to go out obviously with a home fight, to say goodbye to the Manchester crowd, but he doesn't want a gimme. He wants a tough fight. He wants a fight where people, as he said, are paying their hard-earned money to go along to support him, have value for it. But I think with Crolla you always get value. So I'd like to see him have not too hard a fight. I'd like to see him obviously try and get the win. I think it would be a wonderful way to go out, and I think he will go out. I think he's a sensible man, Anthony. I think he's made some money, but I think he also wants to stay in the sport, or maybe on our side of the ropes. He was really impressive working with us for the Lomachenko Campbell week. He's a pleasure to be around. He's a great pundit. He follows the sport. No reason why he can't come and do a lot more of that in the future.
What's it like for yourself when you see the likes of Anthony Crolla, Carl Brook coming towards the end of his career, Tony Bellew obviously recently retired?
Well, you're going to say making me feel old. Making me feel old. No, I just celebrated 25 years at Sky, and when I started, Chris Eubank Senior was on his world tour, so it's a long time ago. We've had some phenomenal memories all the way through, some incredible fighters. We've seen Ricky Hatton go from start to finish, and a lot of Joe Calzaghe and Carl Froch's career, and Lennox Lewis's and David Hayes, and all of that, and Anthony Joshua, we've taken from the very beginning. So to see the likes of James DeGale, George Groves, Tony Bellew all sort of call it a day recently. Now you're looking at Amir Khan coming towards the end, Kell Brook, Anthony Crolla. It's sad in a way because you've had great memories with these guys, but there's got to be a stopping point, and obviously with boxing you've got to try and get out at the right time with some money in the bank and obviously a structure beyond it. And I think what a lot of these fighters will be doing is looking at what's next for them. But I still think there's a little bit left for Cal and for Amir. Maybe they'll even fight each other. But I think with Anthony it will be good night. And thank you very much, Manchester, on November the 2nd. And it'll be emotional, as it is when all fighters sort of finish their careers, but it's just a pleasure and a privilege having commentated on him for so long, and having commentated on all these great men and women that lace up the gloves and are brave enough to get in the ring and put their lives on the line each and every time. And we respect every one of them. So particularly when they're so nice, like Anthony Crolla, who's just been an utter joy to be around. It's particularly poignant.
Moving away from this card, over the past weekend we saw Tyson Fury defeat Fury-Wallin. Your thoughts on that fight, Adam?
These late nights, I wish I was there, then it wouldn't be so late, staying up for that. I love Tyson Fury, entertains me. Obviously, I go back to the early days with Tyson and those slight struggles with John McDermott, and obviously had the big win against Klitschko out in Germany, which was a big fight for us on Sky. And although we watch from afar at the moment, we admire Tyson Fury, the way he's come back from the position he was in, the weight he lost, the situation, and he's doing brilliantly. I think he had the easy fight against Schwartz, but the build up was in the Rocky gear was fantastic, and this time again another spectacular ring entrance for the Mexicans, but a tough fight, and maybe like a Mexican warrior at times. I mean, the cut was horrendous. I'm sure that had a major impact on the way he had to grit it out. I didn't think he was actually sort of flowing like he normally does in the first couple of rounds. So, maybe he was a bit light, maybe he overtrained, maybe there was something, maybe he slightly underestimated Wallin, as most of us did, that he would possibly be an easy night and he could go on and fight Wilder. And fighters can get complacent like that. I don't think you say Tyson Fury was complacent. I'm sure he put absolutely everything into training camp, and he needed to be in that condition to get through a hard 12-rounder like that. But probably just mentally, maybe he thought it would be a lighter fight, and it turned out to be a tough one. And Wallin was not in his class, and Tyson won it pretty comfortably for me, but he had to grit it out. And there's another box ticks in many ways, that he can on a bad night he can come out with a win. So I know a lot of people are criticising him, but I thought it was he toughed it out. He was lucky at times that the corner managed to patch the eye up, the doctor let it go on, and you take that, you take the 12 rounds, you take the win, and you move on. And I think Wallin was a tough guy, if not in the same class. I thought he was tough and strong, and he can come again. And how long will Tyson be out? Will that push back Deontay Wilder a little bit? You've got Wilder and Ortiz, which is a fight we'd love to have on Sky. And listen, it all goes great, doesn't it? Joshua Ruiz in December, and let's see what 2020 brings us. But I really enjoyed it, as I always do with Tyson Fury.
Finally, Adam, just wanted to get your thoughts. This past weekend, we also had the KSI versus Logan Paul press conference. What was your thoughts on some of the words that were exchanged and the way that it was handled out there?
Listen, Rob was asking me questions about KSI and Logan Paul when I got off the plane from the global tour the other week in London. And look, it's always going to be controversial. This, we've. It's something very different. It's YouTubers, it's entertainment. I mean, we did a fight, I don't know if you remember, between Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. Was it a fight? Was it a spectacle? What was it? We all enjoyed it. We took it for what it was. Conor came in. He convinced a lot of Irish that he was going to win the fight, and he was great value in the build-up. I love working with Conor McGregor. It reminded me a bit of Naz. He was a great character, and he's a great athlete. But I thought he wouldn't have any chance against Floyd Mayweather, and it came down to a boxing ring, and that's what happened. But listen, we enjoyed it. A lot of people tuned in. I think a lot of people will tune into this. I think my kids will tune in. I think a lot of teenagers around the world will tune into because YouTube is the way forward. My little girl has got a YouTube channel. She's 8. That's what they want now. And I think when entertainment changes like that, you've got to look at the way things change. I can understand the criticism from fighters saying, who are these guys topping a bill? But ultimately, maybe it's an opportunity with Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney and those guys on the stacked card in LA, for a chance for a new audience to be brought to boxing. So maybe that's the way of looking at it. It was cringeworthy at times. The language used. I'm glad I wasn't there and Eddie was dealing with it. Let him do it. He's the promoter. But look, it's an interesting development in the social, entertaining, digital world. And if the public demand it, the public get it, and there is an appetite for KSI and Logan Paul. There's a big appetite. It might not be with the hardcore boxing fans, it might not be everyone's taste, but people are going to watch it.
Well, Adam Smith, I appreciate your time. Thanks for speaking to myself and Boxing Social.
No problem at all.